The wait is over. The greatest challenge of this edition of the Ocean Race is about to begin. 5 teams, 20 sailors sailing non-stop from Cape Town, South Africa to Itajaí, Brazil, 12,750 miles away. Cape Town is once again the departure city for the Southern Ocean leg of the race, a role that is played for 12 of our 14 editions, spanning 50 years since the race began in 1973. The big mountain in front of them is not just Table Mountain, it is the Southern Ocean, it is the nearly 13,000 miles that they need to traverse all the way off to Brazil. And these are the conditions that we have right now. But Dee, this is just a bit of a snapshot really in terms of the breeze. I mean, it's very tricky in Table Bay.
Exactly, we get those shadows from the mountains and the landscape around them. We're going to see the boats have to transition from light areas of lulls into pretty powerful gusts there. And then, of course, as they head off around the headland, it's going to get stronger and stronger. There is no lulls and rests ahead of these sailors.
Well, the scores at the moment with 2 legs completed, and it is Kevin Escofia's team, Wholesome B, PRB on top, 3 points clear of 11th Hour Racing Team in second. Charlie Enright will be working very hard not to let that gap get any wider. Well, the first challenge that they're going to have on leg 3 is going to be the tight inshore course. D, we are going to be tucked into the shore here on Table Bay. How does the course, the initial test, lay out for them?
Similar to the import day that we saw a couple of days ago, they're going to be leaving in Table Bay, doing a series of squares, multiple corners to turn. They're going to set off through the start line, they're going to turn around several marks, and they're going to be on this reaching start. They're going to go downwind with a jibe, reach back, and they've got to do this lap twice. After that, then they get the glory of being able to go through a departure gate, and then it's off into the Southern Ocean and what lies ahead. And that's going to be some pretty tough negotiating and navigating involved.
Final few seconds to go for the line, and Biotherm very close to the line, but perhaps the others stuck in a light patch. It looks like Biotherm was actually the one boat to get away here. The wind just produced a bubble right where the other teams didn't want to do it. They must have been looking at Biotherm with a minute to go thinking Paul Mayer's crazy, and then suddenly realizing that actually it was them that has lost out. The second boat to cross the finish line, a full, 22 minutes behind Biotherm is Team Militia. Boris Herrmann managed to get that boat creeping. They're going to hit into that breeze, and you can see that dark patch coming through now.
And look at this from Biotherm now, absolutely powering away. But don't forget, they're in this strong pressure now at the other end of the course that the others are struggling to get to, but they've got to do a loop. They've got to go back round through that light patch again. So it is not over yet. It is so much still to go.
Look at this, this is the breeze that's waiting for them. Team Militia, Boris Herrmann now absolutely flying. Both foils are out, ready for the tight corners of this racetrack, and they have had to transition from light wind sailing, eking the boat forward, to too much power, ripping the boat away, an enormous bear away for Team Militia, and they're not at the mark yet. That turn was simply due to a loss of control. They're now turning themselves back up. The transition from light winds to strong winds, forcing Team Militia to take avoiding action, to take a big course dive just to try and hold on to everything. But you can see the split in the racetrack right now. D, handling these Imoccas is one thing, and handling these Imoccas when the breeze goes from 0 to 20 knots in a blink of an eye is something else.
This is almost a stereotype Cape Town offering for a start of a leg. It literally is 0 to everything all in one go and mixing it up. Look at Wholesome flying now. Out of control, they're lifting the bow high in the air. That is not a fast move.
11th Hour Racing Team now round Mark 1. That is 3rd place at the moment for Charlie Enright. Guyot Environment Team Europe have been forced wide, possibly searching for that breeze in the first part of this reach that started in light winds, and that has opened the door for Team Wholesome PRB to do a tight rounding on the first mark, and now they look set, riding both foils. Look at Kevin Escofia's team here on the right hand side. They're riding both foils, they've been able to keep their drag minimum and slip on the inside of 11th Hour Racing Team. That's an incredibly powerful manoeuvre that Kevin Escoffer has just been able to pull off there. It's not quite going to last the full length of this short downwind leg, and it does mean that Charlie Enright has a chance to still put the jibe in and round the next breeze in front.
We are careful with 11 with the jibe.
Now, timing of this jibe, this is going to be important. Now, 11th Hour Racing Team have jibed, and Team Holston PRB also jibed as well on what is proving to be an unbelievably interesting import section of the departure for leg 3 here at Cape Town. Yeah, we saw it stretch off the line as Biotherm got the breeze first, and now look at them, they're in that lighter patch, and we know it's only going to get lighter. So Paul Mayer going to have to work very hard here as the wind gets light in Cape Town. Behind Biotherm, it's Team Militia, and it was quite a gap, but now 11th Hour Racing Team has closed it down. Second for Boris Herman with Team Militia on the right-hand side of your screen, and then just behind them, it's Charlie Enright, absolutely charging up here. There's no real way through and past the German boat, but the corner is coming up, and an opportunity here to push even further and perhaps overtake.
Yeah.
They definitely wanted that controlling side on the inside of the turn at the next to mark. They worked hard to get there, and unfortunately Team Militia got those light winds just before 11th hour, which allowed that gap to close up. So Boris will have been a little bit frustrated with that.
Now look at what is going on here. There's a little bit of a park up here. This is the compression, D, that you were talking about. We knew that things were going to stretch off the start line as those leaders got into the breeze. Now it's all squeezing together as the boats ahead sail into the light winds.
Oh, just 2 knots there at boat speed. That's so frustrating after they've just been through those crazy conditions. But how good for Guyot Environment Team Europe to have that compression and that restart. That gets them back in the race. That gives them hope that they can now do something about it.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 Imokas right now with the main sails down to the second reef, the smaller of the head sails, all of them tuned and prepped for the big breeze, which is on Table Bay today, but it's at the other end of the course. That means they have to navigate these light winds with the wrong sail plan. I mean, let's call it. They've all decided that this is the smart move, and it certainly was, because they almost looked out of control there.
But we can see from these images now we've got a different sail on Team Militia. They actually have made the effort to do that sail change, and everyone else is probably contemplating whether they should be doing the same.
Interesting here, Dee, to see the difference in tactics. Paul Mayer on Biotherm deciding to tack there. And there we go, Biotherm there, as you can see from the virtual eye. Biotherm with that early tack, losing out to Team Militia here.
I see Team Militia is actually in more pressure. Biotherm actually did a really nice early tack and anticipated that wind shift, but it's Team Militia that's in more pressure. That is now gone into the lead, which will be so frustrating for Paul Mayer on Biotherm there.
It's 11th Hour Racing Team, round now in second place, up to speed, already through the start line again as we are looking there. They're absolutely ripping along right now. The light winds firmly behind them, and we are seeing speeds of well over 20 knots for 11th Hour Racing Team as they are smashing through the water of Table Bay. Team Militia just a little way ahead of them, 28 knots on board 11th Hour Racing Team at the moment. They are holding on hard. I think that is Jack Boutel just looking out, trying to cast his eyes forward, trying to see that mark, call the timing in. Team Militia are ahead of them, but Team Militia is not going as fast.
So we can get down quicker, okay? So we didn't let anyone in. Plenty of pressure here. Good angle paralleling here. I'll call the bear away, it'll be late, okay?
So it was Charlie Enright with his head out of the canopy. Jack Boutel still in shorts and t-shirts safely down below. But look at this with Team Milizia. It was Team Milizia that had an enormous lead going around that first mark, stretching out as they got into the breeze. Now 11th Hour Racing Team firmly on their windward hip, and Mark 1 is coming into view. It is just ahead of these two boats. Plenty of power here, but that does make the turn a little bit fraught with danger. Team Milizia at the mark, now turning round.
Team Milizia have committed to that big bear away and that downwind, trying to sail a shorter course, but it may cost them in their boat speed. It's very clear here that 11th Hour Racing Team have got much better boat speed than Team Milizia, but it's all about that jibe into the ley line for that next mark that they go round, while they've still got good pressure and good speed.
So the
That's what we think we want to do. We just want to check the rules. Over.
Okay, we'll have a quick look and come back to you.
So Team Milizia are absolutely ripping away at the moment in the lead. They have been able to hold off 11th Hour Racing Team, and while we dial into that battle for first place, we will just confirm that it looks like Biotherm are heading to shore. We're not too sure what the technical issue is, but it's certainly severe enough that they're going to have to take the 2-hour penalty, and they're still going to have to sail the import section of the course before they can get out into the wild ocean. So Biotherm absolutely looking fantastic when the start gun fired, but right now they are back on the wrong footing, going back to shore to sort out their boat. And now it's Boris Herman rounding and onto the final reach. This reach will take them through a gate between the two marks at the other end of the course, and then they are free, they are off, they are released out into what can only be described as the hardship of the Southern Ocean. So Team Milizia are now round. 11th Hour Racing Team hot on their heels. Team Wholesome PRB in third place. And now we can see 1, 2 and 3 through the gate, the final mark of the inshore section of leg through. It's Team Milizia that is leaving Cape Town in the lead, but just behind and just to leeward, it is Team Wholesome PRB in second place, who have launched themselves from last off the line into second now. 11th Hour Racing Team to windward. And as Kevin Escoffier, he hasn't finished yet. He wants to make a move into first. And the question is, the technical issue on board Biotherm, what is it and what exactly seems to be their plan? Because right now they are still sailing. We did get confirmation from the race management team that if they did sail back into the harbour, then they would need to stay there for at least 2 hours before restarting, and they were going to have to sail the inshore section again. So maybe they've decided that they can sort the problem on the water, and it's actually not worth abandoning this racetrack. They are still sailing round the race course right now. They're a good way behind, but it seems to be Biotherm still pushing out.
I'm okay with that. Ready? Yeah. So let's call, suspend immediately, tell the shore through, and get it going.
Yep, okay.
Everybody good with that? Hey, listen, I want to hear from everybody.
Yeah, I think to do that lead, the only thing we could eventually do is, we're going to be reefed most likely, so you can take the bottom ones, but it's not, high risk.
So 11th Hour Racing Team, you could just hear Charlie Enright there talking about the plan to suspend racing. Mark Towle, I know you're out on the water. Give us your view.
Yeah, guys, what an exciting first hour. Quite a bit going on there. I've just spoken with Charlie. We have officially suspended racing. We have broken 2 wing tips on the mainsail. We actually have 2 spares on board, so we could fix it, but that would leave us no spares for 35 days of racing in the Southern Ocean and a lot of heavy air jibing. So Charlie's elected to suspend racing and get the wingtips, extra spare wingtips on board to be prepared for the long leg. I think this is the prudent thing to do, and let's see how it all plays out.
Mark, thank you so much for the update. If I could just come back to you for another question. What is it that Charlie Enright and your team have to do? We keep saying suspending racing in order to get these spares. Do they have to go in? Do they have to wait for a particular amount of time? What's the instruction been?
My understanding is that we have to wait 2 hours to resume racing. I believe the plan is for the team to just stay out here on the water Our short team's already collecting the extra wingtips, and they're going to bring them out to the team. And we'll just be standing by, take the extra spares on board, and get on with the racing.
We have had so many stories unfold in simply, an hour and 10 minutes of racing at the beginning of this leg, a leg that will be 35 days. So in that first hour, Biotherm already suspending racing due to a technical problem. They have returned back to shore. 11th Hour Racing Team dropping their main, finding some damage, that they have also suspended racing, and they will have to wait a minimum of 2 hours before they can rejoin. And it is Team Milizia and Team Holcim PRB and Guya Environment Team Europe right now that are the only 3 boats that are racing. Look at this. It's actually moving right now for Team Milizia. They are moving. Boris Herman, his head just poking out of the hatch there, looking around, and they are able to push forward really quite nicely. We have only seen nearly 2 hours of racing here in Cape Town, and already we have so many stories, and we still have 12,000 miles to go for leg 3.